And we are live. There it is. Good evening, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gem and the Crypto, episode 455. Today is Wednesday, August 21st, and I am King. Of course, here to bridge the gap between the community and crypto. And today we have a lot of great stories. We'll be talking about authorities seizing a crypto mining equipment from a nuclear power plant. SEC, of course, the United States SEC registers digital securities platform Securitize as a transfer agent. U.S. Treasury sanctions Bitcoin, Litecoin addresses under the Kingpin Act. Petition for clemency for Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht nears 200,000 signatures. And of course, last but certainly not least, you can now earn Bitcoin rewards for Postmates purchases, something I'm definitely excited to talk about and see more about. But first, a couple quick shout outs. What's going on? Tessa Hall, Gervais Wright, Richard Terweem, here from down under. What's going on? What's going on, everybody, as you load in? And new update. I know why we initially kind of have this lag on YouTube, at least when we first start, is because OBS is loading up with YouTube. So I'm not sure how to stop this initial load. I think we need to start doing that intro screen for about 30 seconds to a minute, and that might stop it. So I'll get on that. What's going on, Milto? But let's go ahead and jump into these prices before we get into these stories. Of course, Bitcoin prices everywhere. Hate to say it, but I told you so. People literally about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I said as we start creeping to this $12,000 to $13,000 range, it really happens from the 13 to 15, or I guess 13,000 plus dollar range is where you start seeing Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin, go up and down $1,000 or around that range within minutes, within days, and it's not a big deal because that is how it goes. But we're seeing that again today, and it's crazy because again, we talked about the Cointelegraph articles on Cointelegraph right now. I would say within 4 article difference. So it's one article here, 3 or 4 articles later. I mean, they're talking about Bitcoin going into a bear market, and then they're also talking about Bitcoin prices rebounding on this big push. So again, no one knows about the price of Bitcoin, but just in general, to talk about the prices today, Bitcoin is at $10,070. That is down 6.51%. That is a $701 loss. Again, this is what we've been talking about when I say it's going to blink. We saw this in 2017. A lot of people couldn't enter the market or trade in the market if they didn't already have a lot of their parameters set up for trading or for buying in or whatever it is. But again, $1,000, if you're at $12,000, $13,000, $15,000, $19,000, to lose or gain $1,000 turns into a much smaller percentage. And again, I said that usually starts around 13 plus. But yesterday we were at $10,800. Today we're at $10,070, and that is only 6.53% of a drop. Again, for a traditional market, it may seem like a lot. Of course, you're talking about 6%. That's a big swing. Or to people who don't really understand the percentage reflections when it comes to price, or when they're only looking at the USD price, when they see 11,000 one day and 10,000 next day, they're like, wait, what's going on? But it is a small drop in the bucket when you're talking about crypto. So could this be the start of another bear market? Who knows? Or is this just another day? Because again, 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago, about 4 or 5 days ago, we were at this price. Again, we're at the $10,400 price, $10,200 price. So again, whether we're up or down, you have to get accustomed to these swings once you get into $12,000, $13,000 plus. Because for it to drop $800 or to go up $900, whether it's in minutes or days or a week or whatever, it is still a small swing right now in a highly volatile market. You remember when we were talking about Bitcoin at $3,000, $4,000, whatever, we were having 20% swings every day. I mean, it was going from 6,000 here to 4,000 here to whatever. Now we're having these 5%, 6% swings. Not a big deal to me, but of course we're going to continue to watch the market. Ethereum is at $184.71 as well, down 6.45% on the day. Litecoin's at $73.18 or 18 cents, down 3.35% today. XRP is at 26 cents, down 3.4% today. It's getting closer to that buy area a lot of people talk about. Again, we know some people are saying they want to buy in at 22 cents. If it goes that low, it is creeping down there. Again, for me personally, Of course, we can see XRP get lower. I mean, before the bull run started for it in 2017, I think it was as low as like 8 cents or something. So we can definitely see it get even lower, especially if we do go into another bear market. But at the same time, when you're really talking about the price of some of the things and the potential of it, I still think, again, Ripple could have another big pump, especially since it's on Coinbase. All it takes is another crazy bull market where people log on. They say Bitcoin's too expensive, Litecoin's too expensive. This XRP thing looks exactly like what I need. So I don't count it out, in the short term. So again, for 26 cents, I think this is still a good buy price. If I remember correctly, it went up to $3 during the bull run. So that's that's definitely a crazy gain, potential gain if we get another bull run. And again, when you talk about something as low as that, even if you were to put $50 or $100 in it, you're only losing $50 or $100 versus the amount you can gain is a crazy amount. Bitcoin Cash, $300 down 5%. Again, Bitcoin Cash is actually doing really good since Bitcoin switched over its website to bitcoin.com instead of Bcash bitcoin.org instead of Bcash is bitcoin.com. So again, another day, everything's in red, but the percentages is kind of aligned where I don't think this is the start of a bear market. I think it's just the start of a really bad weekend or rest of the week, but we'll see what happens. All right. Other than that, of course, as I just said, this is the article about Bitcoin price dropping $700 in minutes after failing to crack $11,000. We talk about these psychological barriers. 11K. I don't think it's as psychological since we are just there. Again, I think 13K, 12,800, 12,500, 13K are the bigger ones. So that remains to be seen. But as I said, everything is in red today. I mean, you literally see it across the board, all red. And it's crazy. It said Bitcoin dropped $700 in minutes. When they printed this story, the price of Bitcoin was at $10,167 with only a negative 5.85% drop. And this story was how many hours ago? This story was 14 hours. So in 14 hours, we've seen it drop another 4%, 1.5% down again. Normal for this market. It goes up and down that much. And this is exactly why we always tell people you can't really trust a lot of these Wall Street traders and people who know it all and from the banks and all that stuff and your financial advisors, because they have never in their career or in their life dealt with a gain or drop more than a couple of percentage points, right? I mean, if they have a really good year at the end of the year or whatever, they might be able to tout their 14 to 20% of investment that you made or, your gains that you've yielded. But that's at the end of the year, they're talking about 14 to 20%. This is a Tuesday, or excuse me, this is a Wednesday, and we're talking about things dropping 6 to 7%, and that isn't even the highest drops we've seen. We've seen drops up to 12 to 13% in a day, and then the next day go up 20%. So again, it's one of those things you just got to pay attention to, look at, and don't trust a lot of these outside sources that have no clue what they're talking about. All right, what's going on, Allison Thompson, S1 Dubs? Oh, we're definitely going to keep Richard in the loop today. Says car just broke down and waiting on the tow truck. That's a bummer. Well, I try to keep this as interesting as possible, so it goes pretty fast. What's going on, Malik? I had a tow truck tow my car home one night around 8 o'clock, and it got stuck on the truck. It took 2 or 3 more trucks to come. No one got there until like 1 a.m. So I ordered me some Uber Eats and called some friends over. There was some street corner hanging around. Just literally was eating some Uber Eats and hanging out. So you can watch YouTube while we wait. All right. One of the top stories of the day: authorities seize crypto mining equipment from nuclear power plant. This is a big story because when you talk about mining Bitcoin and the way we've already been mining by private companies, China comes to mind, Jahan Wu, ASIC miners, all that good stuff. But never has anyone considered a nation state mining using a nuclear power plant, or at least I haven't really heard of it. So I think this story is pretty interesting because it's one of those things where, hey, was this even working? As more people look into it, is this something that's possible? Because if nation states do, or Bitcoin does become the primary cryptocurrency that everyone actually uses, I'm talking about mainstream adoption, and nation states are rushing to catch up with it, will they use their power plants to actually mine Bitcoin? That could be a question one day. But it looks like in Ukraine, top law enforcement and counterintelligence agency uncovered crypto mining equipment on site at a nuclear power plant. It looks like, according to local media reports, the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU confiscated 6 Radeon RX 470 GPU video cards, a motherboard, power supplies and extension cords, a USB and hard drive, and cooling units installed in the South Ukrainian nuclear power plant on July 10th. So old story, but I guess this information is coming out. They said all the equipment was located in a single office in the administrative wing, separate from the power facility from the state-owned Energoatom enterprise. The power plant is registered as a state secret, and outside computer equipment is not authorized to enter the property. It looks like that same day, the National Guard of Ukraine branch uncovered additional crypto mining equipment in the same power plant. The search sees 16 GPU video cards, 7 hard drives, 2 solid state drives, and a router. So it looks like they were definitely out to do some crypto mining if they hadn't already started. The story didn't say what they were mining at the time. It doesn't have it here. But again, something that we definitely want to look at, because what would happen if governments and nation states were to switch over or to use some of the processing power from a power plant to just singularly mine Bitcoin? That would be crazy. So very interesting story, and of course we'll be paying attention to this to see what else comes out of it. All right, U.S. SEC. I mean, I wish I could stop talking about all the different alphabet agencies the United States has to offer. However, they want to make sure they're in the news every day so people remember them. But the U.S. SEC registers digital securities platform Securitize as a transfer agent. That is right. It looks like Securitize, a digital securities platform backed by crypto exchange none other Coinbase, has been securitized or registered as a transfer agent, according to a press release on Finextra on August 21st. Securitize, which claims to be the first transfer agent with a working blockchain protocol and active security issuers registered with the SEC, is now able to operate as an official keeper of records about changes of ownership in securities. Carlos Domingo, co-founder and CEO of Securitize, said we can increase the amount of securities issued on the blockchain and give comfort to people that this is a regulated space. The SEC has also started approving other types of exempted securities like Reg A+, and down the road, those people will need to transfer agents. So again, I guess congratulations and a big win to Coinbase. But it's one of those things where, you look at the corruption, is like, the SEC is not even looking at so many requests and so many, registration requests or applications. They're not looking at anything. I mean, they're balling them up, throwing them away. We've been talking about this for the last couple of years. That's why we don't have an ETF yet. They're seeing new ETFs come from people they don't know. And they're balling them up and they're throwing them in the trash. They're not even honoring it, even though their job in the SEC is to work for us private citizens. They're not doing that. Instead, they are working with other institutions, as they always have, like Coinbase, where they can simply just work with the SEC and become the only registered transfer agent for securities on the blockchain. Again, you're talking about stifling all types of competition, and by stifling competition, you're stifling innovation in space. So you may think Coinbase is the smartest kid on the block and everything. It's like, not really. You're not allowing anybody else to compete with them. You're allowing them to run a sprint race by themselves, and you don't have any competition. And you're saying this is the fastest man in the world. Where in reality, they're running by themselves. So again, I'm happy for Coinbase to see, of course, they're moving as a business. And I'm even glad for the spaces. Again, this is one of those base hits. All right, securities on the blockchain, whatever. But again, I have so many questions about this. How is Coinbase doing this? What blockchain are they using? It sounds to me like they're using a private centralized database that they are in control of for securities, which of course I'm sure has a backdoor that the SEC can use as well, or a way for the SEC to get all the information Coinbase uses to do this. So it's one of those things where a cool story. I see it, adoption, all that. It's just the way they're going about it, again, which is very interesting to see. But I'm glad I'm able to see it myself. So when you're talking about in business, you know how to move forward. Working with the SEC and IRS is basically called bribery, I guess. I don't know. But again, shout out to Coinbase to have this. And in other news, as the SEC continues to crack down on some people and allow others to flourish without competition, the U.S. Treasury is jumping in the mix as well. It looks like the U.S. Treasury has sanctioned Bitcoin and Litecoin addresses under the Kingpin Act. Again, we got to kill this word blacklist. I would say I don't know where it came from. I do. It's either red list or white list. You all choose. We're going to kill that one, though. The United States Department of the Treasury has added multiple cryptocurrency addresses to its specially designated nationals (SDN) list under the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act or the Kingpin Act. These addresses and the individuals associated with them have been deemed to be associated with foreign narcotics operators. So you can kind of go on this story if you want. It is on Cointelegraph. And again, this mentions a couple of names and what they're doing. But the bottom line is slippery slope. As we always say, slippery slope. First of all, of course, sanctioning any Bitcoin, Litecoin address to me is a waste of time and energy. But of course, I know that those in the government are not stupid. So if anything, this is just another ploy to rile up some citizens, to get some more tax money, and to start a new program with new funding, right? We got to have a department to sanction and keep track of all these Bitcoin, Litecoin addresses. We need people working for them. We need people who are able to do it. We need people to train them. So again, it's another department in the government which our tax money will go to. So I do get the U.S. Treasury making this move. However, it's one of those things where it's quite or almost impossible to do. I mean, even if you sanction a Bitcoin and Litecoin address, all that person has to do is to create another Bitcoin Litecoin address. All they have to do is go get another wallet to create another address. So, I mean, there's multiple ways around it. Or if they don't want to use Bitcoin, Litecoin, they can just use, again, Monero, Zcash, cryptic coins, some of these privacy-oriented coins. They can just use those and not even use a Bitcoin, Litecoin address. Or if you really want to get into it, we joke about some of these smaller coins. They can just use Feathercoin. They can use Bitbean. They can use Trump coin. I think Kanye had a coin out there, a Kanye coin. There's so many different coins you can use to trade on different exchanges or to send through mixers or to keep in your personal wallets or do peer-to-peer trading. There is no way to sanction an address. Now, I get where they're doing. They're saying, hey, at the very least, if we can at least isolate these addresses, we might be able to link it with a bank account and figure out where these people are coming from. Good luck, I say to you, because that is possible. Of course, it is a lot of police work. But I would also say I wouldn't make a habit of this. Not only that does it not work, it's that thing where it's a slippery slope. Today, we're doing drug kingpins and all that. Tomorrow, we're doing, well, who did you vote for? You're not voting for the right people, right? Well, we need to sanction those addresses too. How is this political candidate that everyone disagrees with getting money? I mean, for example, whether you love him or hate him, could you imagine if President Trump, or I'll use both people, President Trump or Hillary Clinton, could you imagine if either of them as an opponent had the ability to sanction the other person's wallet? For whatever reason, we don't like who you're getting your money from. These people are linked to Epstein or whatever, right? Who knows? But again, it's one of those things where it's a slippery slope. I don't think we want to get in the habit of doing it because the primary reason Bitcoin was made is to get away from this kind of stuff. Everyone has freedom to access money, period. If people are committing crimes or doing something illegal, you need to figure out a different way to arrest them. But to stop their flow of income because you say it's not okay, again, it doesn't make sense to me. No one put anyone in charge of any other human being. So, again, it's interesting how it works. Yeah, Dewan, I'm asking the same thing Dewan said, but how do you freeze a Bitcoin wallet? I'm thinking they're going through the exchanges. I mean, this is literally the only way you can do it. Either go through exchange, and if they're not going through exchange, again, even if they sanction the wallet, it doesn't do anything. It's not like a lot of drug kingpins are doing business with the government, unless you're here in the United States or Russia, from what I hear, right? They're not doing business with the government. So let's say you do sanction some big drug lords or terrorists or whatever's Bitcoin wallet. You've sanctioned it from everybody who's not going to use it anyway. The other criminals are still going to use the same address, right? So, and again, you can change the address if you want. So it's one of those things that doesn't really make a lot of sense. This is the primary reason Bitcoin was created. So I'm not sure how this one's going to work out. I guess we'll see. Gervais Wright says Satoshi's wallet a part of it. In regards to what? What's going on, Valdez Granville? Captain James T. Crypto said BAC will be the market maker. They're going to clean all these dirty dollars with fresh, shiny Bitcoin. The available supply of Bitcoin would dry up damn near overnight once they start super buying. I agree with that too. I think BAC's going to come in and really try to... But again, it's one of those things where you can't really buy up that much at one time. I think these are the people who Coinbase alluded to, say they've been buying 200 million of Bitcoin a week or a month or whatever, right? Because if they were to try to do it at once, it's just going to shoot the price up. So we'll see. Too much cash. That's a possibility as well. All right, some good news stories. And definitely one that's close to home. And I love talking about petition for clemency for Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht nears 200,000 signatures. This is big news when you definitely consider, when we talk about that @Bitcoin Twitter account, has about 1 million followers or whatever. And, that's a big part of the industry. Everybody's following that account or whatever, or had followed it. Well, it looks like about almost a quarter, with 20% of everyone in this space then also agrees that Ross Ulbricht also should be granted clemency from prison. Again, if you don't know who he is, you definitely want to look into it. Silk Road was a website where you can buy and sell anything on the dark web or dark web with cryptocurrency. Ross Ulbricht was the creator, but to me, it was the same as someone creating Craigslist or someone creating Backpage, which got shut down after I don't know how many years of operating illegal type of stuff. But he basically created a website where other people could buy and sell anything. I can go in there and buy and sell phones, laptops, computers, paper, folders, pencils, or for some people, they were going on there buying and selling weapons, drugs, and every other criminal thing you can think of. Well, because of that and some other things that happened, I mean, again, you can read into the story. There were some dirty Secret Service agents who stole Bitcoin and tried to kill somebody or did kill somebody. Then they tried to blame it on Ross Ulbricht. All this stuff was going on, but at the end of the day, he was a developer, a guy actually who just bought a site or developed a site where illegal things and legal things were going on. But while this all happened on the West Coast in San Francisco, for some reason, his he was tried in New York City, of course, on Wall Street, where they hate cryptocurrency, and he received 2 life sentences, as you can see here. Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht has spent 6 years in prison and has 34 years and 2 life sentences to go, unless a petition spearheaded by his mother and sister lead to a grant of clemency. That is right. Someone who created a website in New York City received 34 years and 2 life sentences. 2 life sentences for creating a website. I mean, let's take it a step further. Let's say he actually was buying and selling drugs on there himself or facilitated drugs. Let's say he actually did either try to have someone killed or killed somebody. Let's say he did all those things. 2 life sentences, really. Again, how many murderers and rapists every day? I mean, 5 years here, 8 years here, 10 years here. But this guy got 2 life sentences for a website. This is for software people. But again, it looks like 195,000 people don't agree with this. We've actually talked about this. We had Lynn on before we interviewed her. We put the petition on here. Let's go ahead and get those last 5,000 signatures and make sure we hit this $200,000 mark. But again, Ulbricht, he's currently serving a 40-year sentence on top of a double life sentence. So it's 40 years plus 2 life sentences, which is crazy. Again, you have to read into this case if you haven't already. It's a movie in of itself. I mean, you had dirty Secret Service and FBI agents basically trying to, or didn't try, they stole Bitcoin and framed him at the same time. So that's why it's so convoluted to see what he actually did and didn't, because the people who work for our government ended up being dirty and doing the same things, if not worse things, which made the whole case crazy. Yet and still, he was sentenced. Ulbricht is only 6 years to his sentence. And of course, his mother, Lynn Ulbricht, recently, they're talking about attending a blockchain conference in Toronto to advocate for her son. She was at one of the conferences we went to last year where we met her. I know she'll be at, the one in DC. She was the one who actually told me about it. Black Blockchain Conference, I believe, in DC, which is crazy. Another reason why I don't really believe in a lot of these all women, all black, all everything. She was the one who really told me about this conference and invited me to it. So that was pretty funny. I think I know few people who go to that one, but this online petition currently has more than 195,000 signatures, including those Litecoin creator Charlie Lee, Roger Ver, and Bitcoin billionaire bull Tim Draper. A number of politicians and movie stars have also expressed their support for him, and of course, she still has hope. He had this tweet that he sent out back in March 27th this year, where he was like, "Hey, I'm turning 35 in prison today. Doesn't feel good. Feels like a big chunk of my life went missing. God willing, I'll turn 36 in freedom." Of course, they are trying to get President Trump to get in here and give him clemency. However, it doesn't seem likely, as this article put about Trump's tweet on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And that's my thing on it. I think he was unfairly convicted and definitely, harsh. Harsh isn't even the word. He was unfairly sentenced and convicted. But it's one of those things where letting him free will change history as we know it, I think. And that's the reason why it hasn't happened. It may, as much as I wanted it to happen, it's going to be definitely going to be a difficult and tough fight, because if Donald Trump were to grant him clemency, not only would the state of New York be looking stupid, the lawyers and judges in New York be looking stupid, the people out in California would be looking stupid for even sending them to New York. Long story short, it's just a lot of people in a lot of very popular positions who will be looking left stupid. And I don't think they want that to happen, which is why he's still been locked up. Of course, it's unfair and it's crazy. But again, you just look at President Donald Trump's tweet here. It goes about some of the things we've been talking about all week with the SEC going after the likes of Reggie Middleton and Veritasium, or going after the ICO crypto ratings and stuff. Right here you can see he said he's not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and value is based on thin air. So this is a tweet from a month ago where you got the president saying Bitcoin is not real money. It's based on thin air. But a month later, you have the SEC cracking down. Not even arresting people, actually. Let's make sure we're clear on that. They're not even arresting people. They're extorting people. They had the ICO rating people pay them $270,000. They went after Reggie Middleton, Veritasium for $8 million. They're going after different companies for money. That's really what it's about. You have a government group extorting its citizens. Very interesting. But again, definitely a shout out to Lynn Albrecht. Great human being. Again, I had a chance to meet her. We had her on the show. You can go back and see that video. I'm sure it's still on our channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you sign this petition for clemency for Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht. If you agree with it, it's nearing 200,000 signatures. And I am sure they have the, I'm sure they have the page where you can sign everything on here. Let me find the link. I don't see the link, but I will Google it as I go over this last article so I can put the link in there. But if you don't know about them already, do your due diligence. If it's something you agree with, make sure you sign that petition. Again, I've done my homework on it. It's something I definitely agree with. It's one of those instances of the government having far too much reach and being corrupt. There's no other way to call it. When you're talking about cryptocurrency and governments worldwide right now, we're talking about the fate of a global economy and a bunch of human beings who want their just due, or so they believe. There's going to be corruption. It's that simple, people. And we've been seeing it. So I'll find that website for you and ensure I put it in the notes here before I end this stream. All right. And last but certainly not least, another great news story. Hold on. Actually, let me check out some of these comments in the chat. See a lot of people saying a couple things. Yep. 2 life sentences is crazy. Truth said maybe they are holding him for numerous reasons other than his website. He is there for their reason. Yeah, for sure. Again, when this happened, when you talk about Silk Road, not only was Silk Road and it did what it did, it also allowed people to find out about Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't mainstream, but it allowed a lot more people to find out about what Bitcoin was, the ability to circumvent any company, ability to circumvent any government, the ability to circumvent any border and still do business and still do trade. You got to remember, there are people, I could trade with someone in a hole in some country you never heard of, as long as they have internet access. They could send me their Bitcoin and I can mail them wherever it is they want me to mail them, whether it's a pair of shoes or whatever, right? And the government gets no cut on this. So it was literally the basis of everything this stands for. People can do trade without the government. People have a currency without the government. And it's something the government doesn't even know is happening. So again, I think a bunch of popular people who probably wanted to win some election at some point were like, hey, we're going to put this guy away for forever to show everyone who wants to follow these footsteps. Because you remember, it was either around the same time or right before, it might have been before him, Charlie Shrum got locked up for a year or two. They clipped him off real quick. He hasn't been the same since. But he got locked up for running like a unlawful money transmitter business, and I think they told him he sold Bitcoin to someone. I can't remember the ins and outs of the case, but essentially it made no sense. It was basically like if he owned an ATM and one person went to the ATM, got some money out and bought drugs with it. Is that the ATM in the bank's fault, or is that guy's fault? So Charlie Shrem went down for something just as ludicrous. They made an example of him, and they made an even bigger example of Ross here, essentially to scare off anyone else in this space who is thinking about doing any type of free trade or anything that didn't involve the government. You got to remember here. I mean, I hate to say this too, especially military man myself for the United States, very proud of that. But a lot of people in the government are regular people. They're career politicians, or some of them are career crooks who became politicians, and they're corrupted. So you got to call it how you see it. And yes, let me actually get this website name for free Ross while I am waiting. But yeah, so when it comes to Ross Ulbricht, I truly do think, it's freeross.org if you're listening, FREEROSS.org. I'll put this here. Again, no matter what side of the aisle you sit when it comes to some of these politics, at the end of the day, corruption is corruption. And the worst part about the corruption we're seeing in this space is that the government isn't even hiding it. I mean, they're just coming out and just doing it. This is like gang to the fullest I've ever seen. They're just coming out saying, hey, ICO rating. I know our president tweeted none of this stuff is real, but you still owe us $270,000 or we're going to come after you. So again, it's crazy. But this is that freeross.org site. Again, this site explains what happens and it's, basically an executive summary. It talks about who Ross is, about the case in general. It has some must reads up there, different reports. Again, Lynn has done her job as a mother and as an advocate for her son. She has provided the evidence that this is just basically a sham, but he's still in prison. So check it out. And if it's something you agree with, move forward. Again, these are some of the other people. This, I will point this out before I end this part of the story. Here are some of the other people. I can't zoom in apparently. Here are some of the other people who were sentenced in this trial. Yep, I can't zoom in at all. But anyway, you got John Slump here, the biggest drug dealer on Silk Road. So the biggest drug dealer on Silk Road received 10 years. The former administrator received 17 months. Karl Mark Force, that's the name we need to talk about. Karl Mark Force, a corrupt federal agent on Silk Road. You remember these corrupt federal agents were either actually had someone killed. That's still up for debate, but they definitely stole Bitcoin. They definitely just trashed the investigation. But that corrupt federal agent got 6.5 years. Sean Bridges, another corrupt federal agent on Silk Road, got 8 years, which is crazy. A good thing I will say about, I want to say a good thing, an interesting thing I say about this, and it's something that is true. It's good. It's good that at least these guys got sentenced, because honestly, when you're working with the U.S., we do have a history, and not just the United States. Every government worldwide historically will not prosecute or charge their own. It's something we see all the time in America. I don't need to go into detail, but this was one of those things where it's crazy, where you have people who were the biggest offenders receiving the smallest amounts of times, and the guy who just literally was the coder or developer receiving the life sentences. That shows you how scared the government are of people like this who have a creative mind and a free mind. So something to keep in mind, of course. But now to end this on a great news story, you can now earn Bitcoin rewards for Postmates purchases. That is right. There we go. A shout out to Postmates, and of course, shout out to the company behind it, Lolly. We've been hearing a lot about them as of late, but food delivery is about to get a little sweeter for the users of Bitcoin rewards platform Lolly. The startup announced Wednesday that it has partnered with delivery service Postmates, making the popular app the latest partner for Lolly's reward program. One of the most popular food services, Postmates mobile app, saw 2,094,920 downloads in the last 30 days alone per Crunchbase. Goodness gracious, I didn't know they would do numbers like that. Of course, launched in September. This is talking about the seeding round. Lolly has added a new range of partners this summer, including national grocery chain Safeway in July, which we covered, Hotels.com in June, which we covered, and right now they have over 750 online retail partners, including Walmart and Sephora. Lolly has said that about 40% of its users are new to the cryptocurrency scene. So again, shout out to Lolly. You talk about mass adoption, getting people involved. This is how you do it, people. And this is also one of the things when you talk about the price of Bitcoin, while we don't really worry when it drops whether it's going down to 4,000, 6,000, or is at 10,000. Two things. First of all, it's still higher than what it was 2 years ago, right? And the second thing is it doesn't make sense for the price to drop except for institutions or people here and there, scammers. Basically, a bunch of people who want to get rich quick, jump in and jump out of the space. Other than that, the price drops don't make sense. The technology improves. We see the Lightning Network improving. And then you see stories like this where Lolly is like, hey, we don't know why the price is down $800 in minutes a day because we just partnered with Postmates where you can earn Bitcoin from their app. And again, shout out to Postmates. I don't use them as often. They are very expensive here in LA. However, I do use Uber Eats. So, I mean, I guess tomato, right? But I do know a lot of my friends that use Postmates. I use them every now and then. If I'm looking for a certain type of food or something that's not on Uber Eats, I'll swap over to Postmates. But again, this is something that may make me use them even more to know that now I can actually start buying food and earning a little bit of Bitcoin with it. And of course, when you talk about cost dollar averaging and saving and where the price could go, you could literally be earning money, not just Bitcoin. I mean, if you earn, I don't care if it's a few Satoshis. If you're earning a few Satoshis every week, if you're using Postmates, and by the end of the year, you got 0.25 of Bitcoin, that price then flew all the way up. I mean, it's been a pretty good deal. So that is very interesting to see. I love to see stuff like this. Again, this is the stuff that actually actually encourages mass adoption is by doing little things like, hey, you can get some free Bitcoin, you can get some free crypto coin here, you get free whatever. Learn to use it, play with it, learn the wallet, and the next thing you know, people caught the bug and they're a YouTuber or something, right? All right. So again, pretty cool to see as always. Last couple of questions, see a few more rolling in before I end the stream. Jeopardy Clark said, our website is currently down. We're revamping it right now. But we do have a lot of, I think we put most of our videos that we had behind the paywall online now on our YouTube. So just check out our YouTube channel. We got a lot of good videos that Bitcoin Zay created so that people can come to us and see some of this information. Short videos, teach you how to trade in Few, teach you how to do some arbitrage in Few, use wallets, all that good stuff. So just check out our YouTube. We got all that on there. All right, other than that, that is the show for today. Thank you for watching as always. Have a happy hump day or happy hump night, depending on what part of the world you're in. And of course, we will see you all tomorrow at 3-ish. Cheers.